Hi and welcome to this ONSHAPE tutorial. Today we are going to cover these two shapes here in the bottom right hand corner. So on the last video, and I'll put a card at the top of the screen, we covered the two shapes in the top right hand corner in this emerge section. And that was covering some basic shapes in terms of rectangles, squares and so on, and turn them into these two 3D shapes. What we're going to do today is we're going to cover how we can add some curves like you see in the two shapes on screen. When you log into ONSHAPE, you can see on the left hand side a range of options where you can open the files that you've created yourself or files that have been shared with you. If you also click on the public section here and type in TPD, so Teach Product Design, and type in the word extrude, you will find the files and resources I'm using today. Now, as you can see on the screen, what we can do as well is click on modified and you'll find the most recent file which I'm going to talk about today. Once you click on and you open that, you might find that this toolbar is not appearing on your screen. So what you'll need to do is click in this region here and create a copy of the workspace, and therefore you'll then create your own copy of the file, and of course you can edit that and share that as much as you want. Along the bottom you've got access to the models from the last video, and you've also got today's models as well and any future models in this series. And along the bottom as well, if you click on this section here, you'll have this overview of the videos, and you can see that you could click on these links and get access to the videos as well. And this can be shared with other students that you or other people that you may want to use the resource. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to find the file that we're going to work on today, so develop A, and I can spin this around to have a look at what the challenge is. So I can spin that around with a mouse wheel, or I could click on the object here, this cube, to move that around to a different view. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on the little plus, click on Create Part Studio, and as you see, this extra tab will appear here, so we can work on this tab. So if you click on the tab here, you can see the model that we're going to create. So we're going to use this as a reference, and this is good so we can see the order of how this was created, and we can see the key dimensions as well, so you'll have access to all this. So if we go right back to the beginning and we have a look at the sketch, and as you can see here, if I press N and just zoom out as well, that we created a square that's 30 by 30. So I'm just going to go back here, click sketch, and we're going to go to the top work plane, press N, that will flatten the plane, and I'm going to go up to the center point rectangle, or R, and we're going to draw that from the middle. So this is going to be helpful later on. So if I click just to confirm that and type in 30, enter, 30, enter. Now remember, if you made a little mistake there, you could just go double click on a number, change that and update it. So we're going to confirm that, go up to the cube and zoom in, so I've got a good view of the sketch. We're going to check out on this reference here what I did next. So again, if I go to here, and we have gone, let's have a look, symmetrical, and we've gone 40. So symmetrical and 40, and obviously you can see the length by just clicking on that edge, and it'll say down here 40, so symmetrical and 40. So go to extrude, select the shape, type in 40, and the reason we're going to do symmetric, or make that symmetrical, is the plane will then run through in the middle, and that's going to make it easier for some of the other features. It's just going to save us a bit of time. So confirm that, and I've got that part there like so. So we go back to the reference, drag this down, and we're going to create on that middle work plane this triangle here, which is 10 by 10. So that should be easy. So sketch, select the work plane, press N, zoom in, use the L line or L on the keyboard, and I'm going to choose this point up here. So now if it doesn't snap to the point like so, What we can do is use this tool here, which will project or convert the edges, which is always a good tool. So I'm going to select those two edges, and it will then allow me to snap my design like that. So just going to click Escape, D for dimension, or dimension tool up there. Type in the dimension 10 by 10. So it should be easy to remember. Now if I've selected it like that, that's dimension the entire length. We don't want that, so click Escape. I want to go from point to point. So that's a good little skill as well. So 10 by 10. Again, I'm going to spin that around so I can see it. Confirm that. Let's go back to this and see what I do next. So let's go to Extrude. And again, I've extruded this by 20mm symmetrical or symmetric. That's either side, so 20mm. So Shift E or Extrude, select it again, 20mm. To confirm that, you can see it's above, so I want to do it symmetric, and it will split it 10 either side like so, and confirm it. So I'm adding to the shape as well. So if I click New, you can see another part will appear. It's a different colour. I don't want that, I want to add to it, so I can confirm that. Next then, I'm going to drag this down and have a look at the next sketch. So a similar thing on the top surface this time. We're going to go 10 by 10 on that top surface on the bottom corner. So surface, sketch, N for normalize, and we're going to go down here. So again, this time, because I'm sketching on the surface, it will allow me to snap to the edge. And I'm going to draw that simple triangle in using a line tool, or L for line, D for dimension, 10 by 10. And again, if you've messed up and you've put 15 or 12, whatever, just double click on that and you can change it. So I'm just going to go up to the top corner again. And let's check out what I've done. So I've gone to Extrude, and I can check the size by just clicking on it, so it is 10 down. So let's zoom in, let's go Shift E for Extrude, and we go 10. Confirm now, we don't want it above, so let's just flip it down. We want to add, so it merges all together, you can see just one part, and confirm that. So what I could do is I could repeat that at the bottom to create the next feature. What I can do though is use the mirror, which will save me time. And also, if I decided to change the size of this top feature, then the bottom one would update. So mirror, if you look along the top, is here towards the middle. So we're going to go for the feature. We're going to choose that feature. The plane is this middle one here. If I can click on that, there we go. Alright, and what we're going to do is reapply, just tick that one there, and then you can see it's going to apply that down to the bottom and click the tick. Okay, and if you update the sketch or the extrude, the bottom one will automatically update. If we then have a look in here and we scroll this down, we've then added a fillet. So I'm going to show you two ways to do this. So if we edit that, 10mm fillet, nice and easy. So quickest way to do it, and the way I prefer to do this, is to actually use the fillet feature. So click on that edge there, spin it around, so I'm using my right mouse button, and I've got 10mm, and that's it, done. So if I just zoom out, use my mouse wheel, I've then created that shape with those two fillets. Another way of doing it, so I can either delete that or just drag that back in time, is to go back, and I could go into this original sketch and edit that, and I could go into the fillet here. I don't tend to add fillets in the sketches, but it is another option, so I could click on that point, okay, type in the size like so, and again I could go to the opposite one, confirm that. It will remember the last one. I want 10 by 10. So again, I can update that. And that is also a way of doing it within the sketch. But like I said, I do tend to prefer to add a fillet. And the last thing you could do is go into the appearance. And if you want it the same colour as mine, just double click on that. Choose your colour. So I chose the fourth one down. and there you go. And again, you can turn these annoying planes and origin off, and you'll have your design there. So just before we move on to the next challenge, you can see just up here we've got a little bit of an error, because what I've done is when I created that sketch, I traced the edges, but obviously those points have now disappeared. So that's why I tend not to add fillets and things within sketches, because it can cause some slight issues with the geometry. So what I could do is just delete that particular reference point, and then you can see the warnings have disappeared. Update that, and again I've got the final outcome. So the next challenge is on screen, and as you can see, what we're going to do is again a simple extrude. It looks a little bit complicated because we've got these curves. I'm going to show you a very quick way of doing that just within the sketch, and as you can see, I've only got one sketch and a single extrude to create that quite complex shape or geometry. So we're going to click on the little plus, and we're going to select Create Part Studio. And as you can see here, I do have this Part Studio, and you can right click on that and rename that if you want. So we're going to use this as a reference. So if you go into the sketch and click Edit, and just press N and F, so that will zoom nicely out, you can see the dimensions on there. So what we're going to start with are two circles basically, and we've got one with a 40mm diameter and one with a 20, so the 20 is on the inside. So that should be nice and easy. So we go to Sketch, select the plane, N for normalize, C for circle, or select circle, make sure it snaps in the middle. I'm going to click that and type 20. So again, C for circle, if you deselected it, click on the centre, drag it out and left click and type in 40 and enter to confirm. And if your dimensions are crossing, you can just move them out of the way to neaten that up. So that's the first bit done. If you look back at our reference model, and this is always good to look at, because we get all the clear dimensions and we can see obviously the order of how I've done this. We're going to create this sort of a T shape, I suppose, at the top. So we're on centre in terms of that dimension there, 20mm and 40 and 10. So see if I can actually remember that, that would be good. So if we come to here, if we go up to start with corner rectangle, we're going to drag it up like so. We're going to hover over here just to wake this up, and I will drag that across. And I'm just doing some rough dimensions or rough sizes to start with. Then we can come in with deep dimension and start typing in some sizes. So again, we can look back and we figure out it's 40 by 20. So deep dimension, type in 40. To make sure that's in the middle, so 20 either side, we could dimension it from the centre line or the centre point. And we could go to the left or the right, it doesn't really matter. And type in 20, so that's now 20 either side. We're going to dimension this one. And again, we can look back at our reference, and that's 20. So type in 20 and enter. Again, use the centre to help you dimension it. So go from those two lines and type in 10. And you'll see that all lines up now. And what we need to do, a couple more I think. We are 30mm from that line there to the centre. Because we've still got blue lines, that means they are not defined. So click on that top edge there. And this one has actually got a size of 15, but it doesn't matter as long as it's crossing the circle. So we should have all those key dimensions there. So once we've done that, we can change the view, and we're going to go to extrude. Now I've actually made a mistake. I'd be quite interested if you've noticed. So if I go to extrude now, I can basically, it's automatically selected it. If it doesn't do that, you could click the X and I could come in and I could select that. However, I want to remove that sort of front bit there. I could save this and I could create another sketch on the top or bottom and cut it, but I want to do this in one sketch. So the mistake I made, if we go right back to here and edit it, and for normalize, is I haven't sketched a line L that is snapping to that center point, and I'm just going to do that right across like that. I'll just click escape, and we're going to save that, turn it around. You can see that line now. It's going to go Shift and E or extrude, and this time it'll allow me to select just part of that curve. Okay, and you can see I've got the shape what I wanted. So I'll go back to here, and I'm going to check the size. So there's two ways of doing that, as we've seen before. We could just select one of these edges, it tells me it's 40mm, or I could go into there and you can see 40mm. And that is it. So I'm going to type in 40, and I'm going to confirm that, and it's a new part, so you can see here it's going to appear, and we're going to click tick. And again, we can turn all these off by clicking the eyeballs like so. And the last thing, if you want it to look like mine, you can choose your colour by clicking on that tab, double clicking, and hopefully it wakes up. There we go, and I'm going to choose that yellow there, nice and easy. And there you go, that's the second activity done. So the last thing that you might notice on the screen is this little warning symbol here. And what that's telling us is that there's something in that sketch that's not fully defined or fully dimensioned. So to remove that, if we could go into edit, basically it's making reference to these 2 points here that are not fully defined. They're just floating. They're basically, you know, it's anywhere basically. So what we could do is we could define that by clicking dimension and giving it a certain size. Or what I could do is just go to the trim, delete that, get that rid of that little point there, and I could just make sure it's dimensioned, nothing is blue, and as you can see it's actually disappeared. So it's always good to do that, just to make sure there's nothing that is undefined. So that's it for those two challenges. As you can see, we've created the two objects in the bottom right hand corner. Don't forget to check the last video for these two, and what we'll be coming up shortly are the secure challenges, as you can see in blue. So if you enjoyed that, please hit the like and make sure you subscribe for future videos. Thank you, and I will see you next time.